Welcome everyone to the 148th Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline and it is so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those new and returning, I take notes on a synastry chart looking at the personal planets, signs, aspects, and if birth times are available, house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us weekly, and let's get right into this one. Starting off with the sun, we have Leonardo's sun in Scorpio and Tobey's sun in Cancer. These are both water signs. It's a deep and loyal relationship and it is long term. I mean, these guys, I feel like have been friends for like a long time, since the 90s. So like since they were little kids, I would say. So it's not surprising to see it's long term. They have similar temperaments and Leonardo sees Tobey as too sentimental. Leonardo's sun overlaid in Tobey's fourth house. There's a sense of familiarity and Tobey trusts Leonardo deeply. There's a strong desire to live together. I mean, they very well at one point could have been like roommates or something like that. I'm not sure if they've ever like worked together in a way where they had to like live on the same set or something like that, but it wouldn't be shocking like as young actors in Hollywood and like they're good friends to go to that decision to like room together. Tobey feels secure around Leo and Leonardo feels they belong together. Leonardo is very protective of Tobey and they are both committed to each other. Tobey's sun overlaid in Leonardo's 10th house. Tobey sees Leonardo as an authority figure. I mean, from the little we have seen so far, like I can kind of see that. Like we're seeing Leonardo's the one that's more protective, like you could say a bit more fatherly maybe. Or like an older brother would be more accurate. Tobey believes he deserves respect from Leonardo and Leonardo enjoys the respect he receives from Tobey. Tobey accepts Leonardo without thinking and Tobey thinks Leonardo is more intellectual than him. I mean, from my knowledge, it seems like Leonardo is a bit more successful than Tobey, like Hollywood-wise and everything. So I wonder if maybe in that sense he kind of aspires to be like Leonardo and all of that. Leonardo's sun square Tobey's moon. There's basic misunderstandings and practical disagreements. Tobey sees Leonardo as too rational and selfish. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking, the selfishness of it. Like, I'm sure, like, if there's two young people trying to make it in Hollywood, like, there is a bit of selfishness gonna happen. Leonardo sees Tobey as too sensitive, which that goes right back to the beginning. We saw Leonardo sees Tobey as too sentimental. Tobey may feel resentful towards Leonardo over time and there's general discontent. Interesting. Considering that, Tobey is, from what I know, like Leonardo does definitely seem to be the more successful household name one. Leonardo's sun square Tobey's Venus. Their views on the world clash and it's not as promising as it looks, which I guess you could interpret this because like we did see a little discontent. I wonder if maybe, like obviously we'll see more as the reading goes on, but they do have this persona being like best friends for life. Maybe it's not as deep as it looks basically. Love can easily turn into hate and there's arguments over money. Leonardo is selfishly ambitious, what did I say? Tobey strives to keep the relationship balanced and they both hope to find what they are looking for in the other. Leonardo's sun trine Tobey's Saturn. They work well together and it's a sensible relationship. So that work element is that I don't think they ever did actually officially work together. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tobey is loyal to Leo. That kind of sucks for him. Like I know we're only at the beginning. It seems like he's kind of getting the short end of the stick in a way though. Tobey guides Leonardo with his wisdom and they both desire to build a lasting relationship. At least that's there. Leonardo is encouraging and supportive of Tobey. I wonder if this is in a way of like Leonardo wants to do his own thing and Tobey potentially, I don't know, wants to keep this sort of friendship thing they have going on. Like obviously so, but maybe is not as ambitious as Leonardo. So in that way, like he encourages Tobey to be just as ambitious as him. Tobey is attracted to Leonardo's will and personality and Leonardo is drawn to Tobey's maturity. Challenges are dealt with perseverance. Tobey's sun trine Leonardo's Mercury. There's a great friendship and good communication. Tobey accepts Leo and they both just get each other. They do business together well and Tobey supports Leonardo's beliefs, which we did see the views on the world clash. It could just be a situation like even though they don't necessarily share the same viewpoints and everything, they could still, support it, like accept it of the other. They can talk through issues together, which is where I assume challenges will be dealt through perseverance of conversation. Tobey gets what makes Leonardo tick, and Tobey admires Leo's intelligence. He seems to be putting a bit more effort here. Like, I'm seeing a lot of Tobey so far in this relationship. They understand each other on a basic level, and they speak to each other with understanding. Tobey allows Leonardo to express himself, and Tobey feels he can think better around Leonardo. Tobey's sun, Trine Leonardo's Mars. They are supportive of each other, which we did just see with Tobey literally. But you could also see this as with the whole, thing with Leonardo. We didn't see it directly, but it seems to be implied that Leonardo would be encouraging and supportive of Tobey's career just to be as ambitious as him. There is healthy competitiveness. I really hope so. Because from what we were seeing before, it seems like, Leonardo is a bit more successful than Tobey and he's kind of feeling left behind. Neither feels blocked by the other. I mean, I don't think so. It just seems like, Leonardo is, seen as more selfishly ambitious, but it doesn't seem like Tobey wants to block him. It feels like he just feels sad that he's going out on his own and kind of losing a friend in that way. And Leonardo's not necessarily blocking Tobey's success. He seems to be encouraging of it. I guess it is that sentimentality and sensitivity on Tobey's end, being sentimental of the friendship they have. Tobey admires Leonardo's drive and courage, and they can deal with challenges together. They encourage the other's goals and visions, and Leonardo expresses his desire for Tobey frequently, which I guess the way I would read this is his desire for Tobey to be successful frequently. They express themselves in a straightforward manner, which I assume would help when, dealing with those challenges and talking through issues together. They both can rely on each other when they are demotivated. That's nice. Tobey's sun, Trine Leonardo's Jupiter. They will overdo together. The only way I could see this is maybe practically wise, living together. Because we did see there's arguments over money and practical disagreements and everything. I wonder if maybe they jumped the gun with that sort of thing maybe. They're good travel companions and there's a possibility of unpredictability. I mean, I feel like it's fairly obvious. They were both, especially young people in Hollywood, I feel like you're kind of setting yourself up for an unpredictable life. Leonardo boosts Tobey's self-confidence. That's nice. Leonardo seems to be supportive of Tobey. I feel like I kind of do see where he's coming from with, Tobey being sentimental and too sensitive. It seems like Tobey seems to be holding on to something. They both have a desire to make the other happy, and Leonardo gives Tobey the benefit of the doubt frequently. Positive mutual respect will be maintained if they separate. I assume this because obviously they've been friends, seemingly being friends for decades, honestly, at this point. Obviously, I imagine it's with their careers and the different levels of success. I'm sure there will be times where they are separated for periods of time. So I assume during those moments that, they still maintain that positive mutual respect. It's not necessarily a bitter thing of you haven't talked to me. Tobey's sun, Trine Leonardo's Uranus. They start as friends, which I guess you could interpret this as they've become colleagues and everything. We'll see more. Tobey inspires Leonardo and frequent changes occur, going back to the possibility of unpredictability here. They get each other's humor and it's a relationship of experimentation, which, they grew up together and I guess discovered the whole Hollywood thing together. I'm sure they would have done interesting things together. They encourage each other to be themselves, and Tobey thinks of Leonardo as inspiring and exciting. Leonardo tries to keep the relationship interesting, and Tobey may feel threatened by Leonardo's need for freedom. Not surprisingly so. That's what we've been seeing, throughout this reading. They both need to encourage the other's independence. Tobey's sun, square Leonardo's Pluto. It's love-hate. I feel like this is a bit more on Tobey's end than anyone else. There's a strong magnetic connection and it's transformative. They both trigger the other's deepest issues. I mean, I'm not sure what it would be on Leonardo's end. Maybe we'll see a bit more. But it feels like on Tobey's end, there is some attachment issues, I'm assuming. There are power struggles and they both need to learn not to focus on the ego. I mean, definitely in this kind of friendship when you're both in an industry where you kind of have to focus on your ego and everything, that would definitely be important, to not let that get in the way. It's hard to remain just friends after. You know, if they've had like this like really close friendship and everything and they were like besties, you could say, and suddenly that stopped, you know, it would be hard, I imagine, to go back to just being like acquaintances or anything like that. They both want to be dominant and they want to learn everything about the other. There's a possibility to encourage the other's negative qualities, and there's a possibility of an unhealthy obsession with the other. I mean, from what we're seeing, it seems like it's a bit more on Tobey's end than Leonardo. You know, he seems to be the one that's more attached. Both experience emotions they never felt before in a relationship, which, you know, I feel like, particularly with men, I would say, like, you don't really get that a lot where you have, you know, men with, like, best friends for life. Like, it seems like there's generally a pattern with them being a bit more detached and not having a best friend, as, like, common as it is in, like, women having a best friend and all of that. So I imagine this will be a very unique relationship for them. Now for the intermission, this video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry chart readings on my Etsy store. I do both basic and detailed ones. The basic ones are a bit more simple to understand and really good for those just beginning out in astrology, getting their heads around it, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed readings are very similar to what I do here, so it's a lot of it just with my insights and interpretation on the chart. So if you're interested in that and everything else, astrology and tarot, readings and gifts, definitely check out my Etsy store for that. I'm always releasing new other things there as well. And you can even just favorite the store just to support me for free. Thank you for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for moon. We have Leonardo's moon in Libra and Tobey's moon in Aquarius. These are both air signs. It's a friendship and not super emotional. They enjoy conversing together and they both see their relationship objectively. I would hope so. If from what we're seeing seems to be a bit more on Leonardo's end. Tobey thinks Leonardo's too needy. Interesting. I want to see more of this side. Tobey's moon overlaid in Leonardo's third house. It's cooperative and friendly, and Leonardo admires Tobey's lifestyle. That's interesting. Because there is that sort of like double-edged knife, I guess you could say, like with fame. Because like on one hand, it's a good lifestyle, but on the other hand, there are those negatives to it that I imagine would make you admire like people's like lifestyles like Tobey's. Not to say he's not successful in his own right, but I imagine he doesn't have as much, I guess, you know, criticism and like the limelight on Leonardo as much as Tobey, if that makes sense. Leonardo is supportive of Tobey's priorities and they communicate well. Tobey enjoys Leonardo's company and they're relaxed and productive. Tobey thinks of Leonardo often. I mean, not surprisingly so. Like, he seems to be quite attached to him. I wonder, because I know Leonardo's not married and he has his own relationship quirks. I don't know about Tobey though. Is he married or in some kind of relationship, or has he also been this like eternal bachelor like Leonardo? They don't irritate each other. Tobey's moon overlaid in Leonardo's fifth house. Tobey sees Leonardo as perfect and Leonardo is flattered by Tobey. I mean, I can't say I'm really surprised. Tobey drops his emotional guard around Leonardo and Tobey feels an emotional connection with Leonardo. Leonardo appreciates their emotional relationship. I wonder where this will go emotionally, because we did see how it's not super emotional, which like in a way could be how they appreciate their emotional connection. So I'm curious to see where this will go. They both enjoy spending time together and they have lots of fun together. Their moons are trine together, so there's a desire to nurture each other and they're sensitive to each other's needs. They definitely seem to be quite, like, I guess, aware of the other's needs. Like, we did just see that Leonardo's supportive of Tobey's priorities. It's long term and they share similar tastes. They feel comfortable together and they enjoy creating a home together. So there definitely seems to have been some sort of like domestic, like roommate situation or something like that. They feel safe together and family plays an important part in the relationship. I mean, that could be very possible. Like, if they're both very young and, you know, like little kids, I think their parents or whoever looked after them would have had some sort of role in, you know, obviously organizing things for them and all of that. Possibility of being too accommodating to each other, and there's a tendency to avoid hurting each other. Leonardo's moon trine Tobey's Mercury. They're comfortable talking to each other about everything, and Tobey enjoys being emotionally nourished by Leo, which I imagine this week, because seeing here how he dropped his emotional guard around Leonardo and like they're comfortable talking to each other about everything, it seems like this is a matter of like Leonardo is just like good at listening to Tobey. Tobey provides a foundation for Leonardo's feelings, and Leonardo's comfortable expressing his feelings of Tobey. And it's a harmonious relationship, definitely seems to be. Leonardo's moon opposite Tobey's Jupiter. Emotions can get out of control and there's unkept promises. I wonder if that's the issue. Like, this is a terrible, like, reference, but I wouldn't, if there could have been potentially, I don't know, I'm imagining, like, the sort of, like, kissing booth and, like, how they had those sort of, like, rules and everything for each other. And, like, oh, we're going to be best friends for life and do this and that. And, like, reality got in the way. So I wonder if this was a situation of them as well. Like, because, like, they were super young. I'm sure they made some, like, you know, best friend promises or something like that. And obviously life got in the way and all of that. And they essentially became unkept promises. Attracted to the other because the other has what they need. And beliefs are conflicted, which I think we're seeing again, which is interesting. Leonardo may smother Tobey and both think the other's a bad influence. I mean, look, we did see how this was an experimental relationship and they were, you know, teenagers when they met. Like, not to say they can't be experimental and do things now, but obviously being young teens and young adults in Hollywood, I'm sure they would have done, you know, bad things and been a bad influence for each other, experimentally wise. Leonardo's moon square Tobey's Saturn. Leonardo feels emotionally insecure. Interesting. Because we did see a whole lot of good emotional things. Possibility of an awkward relationship, and Leonardo feels judged by Tobey. I mean, the only way I can think of is, like, you know, his choices in relationships. I don't know, like, I don't know Tobey's situation. That would have been helpful, because if he's also doing a similar thing to Leonardo, then he shouldn't be judging him, but I haven't heard anything like that, so I assume maybe that's the point where Tobey's judging him a bit. Tobey sees Leonardo as needy and oversensitive. That's interesting. Because we did see Leonardo may smother Tobey, so I don't know where that would be. Maybe like early on in their friendship or something like that. Tobey's moon is square Leonardo's Venus. Previous relationships negatively impact this relationship. I mean, because we did see family plays an important part. Maybe something with their family. And I guess, like, with the unfortunate reality of, like, Hollywood, I'm not sure at what point they were in, like, Hollywood when they met, because I know they were both, like, young actors and everything, so I don't know how old they would have been, if maybe something happened before they met in Hollywood or something like that. There's a strong connection, and they both tend to take each other for granted. I mean, I'm sure they would have. Tobey may not be able to provide Leonardo with the emotional nourishment he wants. So it could just be a situation of, like, you know, Leonardo needs his cup filled out a certain way, and Tobey may not have enough water to fill that cup, you could say, in an analogy sort of way, which is maybe where he sees him as being a bit too needy and too sensitive and everything. Leonardo may struggle with his self-worth, and they both need to resolve their internal issues for this to work. Living beyond means will create strains. Because we did see that they have arguments over money. I wonder if that would have been an issue if they were living together, which seems to be the case from what we're reading. Obviously, I know I keep saying it, but, like, you know, young people in Hollywood, you're not going to be necessarily, I don't want to say you're not going to be prioritizing your money, correct? I don't want to be like, these two are so irresponsible, but I'm sure that would have been a problem. They both need to learn to compromise, and their values are in conflict. We're seeing again. They both like each other, but not their habits. I assume this is why maybe they would have had difficulty living together. They both may feel misunderstood, and they both will learn how to cooperate. Leonardo doesn't always understand Tobey's emotions. This is kind of a nice thing we're seeing, ironically enough, because we're seeing that their beliefs are in conflict and, like, they have a bit of difficulty understanding each other. But it seems like they kind of look past it, which is kind of nice, you know? Tobey sees Leonardo as narcissistic. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised, you know, like, he seems to have, like, I don't want to say been taken away from Hollywood a bit more, but, like, he seems to be definitely a bit more invested in all of it than Tobey. Leonardo sees Tobey as needy. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Leonardo's Mercury in Libra and Tobey's Mercury in Gemini. These are both air signs. They have abstract conversations and they both tend to be argumentative. They share detached and objective values, and it's intellectually stimulating. Leonardo's Mercury overlaid in Tobey's 4th house. Tobey's emotions are sensitive to Leonardo's words. Tobey can predict what Leonardo will say, which goes back to how we did see they're quite perceptive and intuitive of each other. Tobey is comfortable with Leonardo, and they both fit well in each other's lives. I mean, it seems like they do, because we did see separation can occur, but the mutual respect will be remained there. Tobey's Mercury overlaid in Leonardo's 9th house. Travel, culture, and philosophy are common topics of conversation, which I imagine is where maybe the abstract conversations lie. Leonardo is impressed with Tobey's knowledge, and Tobey gives Leonardo a greater perspective on life, which they do seem to have different lifestyles. We did see that Leonardo admires Tobey's lifestyle, so I wonder if in that way Tobey would give Leonardo that greater perspective. Leonardo's Mercury opposite Tobey's Mars. They luckily bicker a lot, and Leo feels his intelligence is threatened by Tobey. Interesting. Leonardo's thoughts may rub Tobey the wrong way, and Tobey wants Leonardo to be more docile. Again, we're seeing that sort of element, how Tobey kind of wants Leonardo to, simmer down. Tobey frequently interrupts, and it's difficult to live together. We're seeing again, Tobey tries to force his opinion on Leonardo. Again, not surprisingly so. Leonardo's Mercury conjunct Tobey's Uranus. Tobey challenges Leonardo's way of thinking, which again, we're seeing a contrast in thinking. They both enjoy experimenting, we're seeing again, and they can be impulsive together. Again, I know I've said this before, potentially more related to their early stages of their friendship. They come up with original ideas together, and they discover new ways of seeing the world together, which seems to be a bit more on Leonardo's end, because we did see that he's the one that kind of influences him a bit more, gives him that greater perspective on life. Leonardo truly understands Tobey's originality, and they grow intellectually together. They casually talk about taboos, which I feel would go back to this sort of more abstract conversations. They share an interest in unusual topics, and they're creative together, and they find uncommon solutions to problems, which going right back, we did see that they deal with challenges with perseverance, so that's there. So now it's time for Venus. We have Leonardo's Venus in Scorpio and Tobey's Venus in Leo. These are both fixed signs. They are possessive of each other. I mean, we've seen this on Leonardo's end, not really. Definitely on Tobey's end. I know we've seen this whole thing mutually, but it seems to be a bit more on Tobey's end. Finances are an issue we're seeing again, and Leonardo takes time to learn about Tobey. It's long term, and Leonardo feels threatened by Tobey's dramaticness. I assume this would be Tobey's dramaticness in terms of his sensitivity and sentimentality, potentially, of the friendship they had. It's a passionate and loyal relationship, definitely loyal, for sure. They've both been together in a way, had their friendship for a long time. We've been seeing, things here, it's long term and everything. It's a rocky relationship. I'm sure it could be, considering the amount of stages they've been together, all the changes they would have gone together and all of that, and even I guess there's sort of different views on their friendship, with Tobey being a bit more possessive and everything. Leo respects Tobey's strength, and Tobey appreciates Leonardo's emotional commitment. So I imagine this will be in terms of Leonardo's commitment to listen to Tobey and everything, and potentially provide emotional support when he needs it. Leonardo's Venus overlaid in Tobey's 4th house. Leonardo feels the need to protect himself from Tobey, which I imagine would be in terms of his clinginess, for lack of better words, Tobey senses Leonardo's hesitancy. Oh, that's not great. I kind of feel bad for him, but he seems to be, a bit clingy. Particularly, I kind of would have understood if, there were young people in Hollywood wanting to get by, but it's you kind of, I don't know, would have hoped they would have matured at some point. Not to say they kind of a friendship, but a bit more detachment. There's strong magnetism, and uncertainty and tension characterizes the relationship. Yeah, not surprisingly so. Tobey's Venus overlaid in Leonardo's 11th house. They are both open with the other, and Tobey immediately likes Leonardo. They are comfortable with each other, and Leonardo senses he can be himself around Tobey. They are good friends, and they both share the same social activities and hobbies. Which maybe you could kind of read this as did they maybe meet in some acting class when they were super young, and that was kind of their sort of hobby at that age? It would have been more so. Their Venus signs are squared together, so they approach love and domestic life in different ways. I mean, from what I know, 100%. Like, domestic life we've been seeing, like, they seem to have difficulty doing. Love as well. Not aware of Tobey's situation, but from what I've heard, obviously Leonardo famously, the whole 25 rule and all of that. I imagine if Tobey would have had the same, situation, that would have been there. So obviously, as far as I know, maybe I'm living under a rock, Tobey doesn't seem to have that sort of same attitude and all of that. They're attracted to their differences and they have different social backgrounds. I mean, they're both American, so I don't know, from like a different, literally different like socioeconomic backgrounds or something like that. Otherwise, I'm not sure what that could be. Differences become more obvious over time. I mean, for sure. Like, particularly with like Tobey's like attachment and everything, decision making together is complicated and neither know how to please the other. It's interesting because we're seeing they have differences, but they seem to like really look past it, which is like in a way very nice. They have different social needs. Oh, 100%. I mean, Tobey seems to have, like a sort of like bigger cup to fill in a way. Like, I feel like socially, definitely Tobey has that bigger cup. Emotionally, not so much. Leonardo seems to have that bigger cup. But yeah, socially, Tobey a lot more than Leonardo, it seems like. Arguments over money easily occur, we're seeing again, and it's a difficult long-term relationship. They both need to learn to be open, which from what we're seeing, I feel like they seem to be quite open in everything. Ability to have an honest and balanced relationship, I agree. Like, they both seem to be quite good in that way. Leonardo's Venus, trine Tobey's Saturn. Leonardo stabilizes Tobey's emotions and there's a strong commitment. They sacrifice for each other. I don't know where that would be, but that's there. They see the relationship as everlasting. I mean, although like Tobey seems to be a bit more attached, it seems like Leonardo does seem to share the same commitment. Maybe not in terms of like attachment, but he seems to be quite dedicated to making this last a long time. They help each other in career and Leo admires Tobey's strength. So now it's time for Mars. We have Leo's Sun in Scorpio and Tobey's Mars in Aries. These are both ruled by Mars in traditional astrology. Tobey triggers Leonardo's survival instincts. That's interesting. I assume this would be in terms of like maybe, I don't know, Leonardo, you could say giving into the system and to become successful and like that sort of instinct to like survive and grow in the industry maybe. They both want to be the dominant one in the relationship. I feel like we saw this before as well. They challenge each other and Leonardo is possessive of Tobey. So we're seeing it a bit on both ends, but like I think a bit more actively on Tobey's end. Leonardo's Mars overlaid in Tobey's 4th house. Leonardo pushes Tobey out of his comfort zone. This goes back to the beginning where like Leonardo is encouraging of Tobey's priorities and everything. Like it seems like Leonardo does want to push Tobey like a bit more creatively, career-wise. Leonardo can't provide the peace Tobey wants. Yeah, I feel like peace in terms of like, I guess you could say like peace and quiet, like a sort of like steady commitment, you could say, and like they're always going to be there. Like obviously Leonardo's not necessarily going to provide that if he's out like traveling for his career and out and about doing all of that. Leonardo feels flustered around Tobey and Tobey is nurturing to Leonardo. Tobey creates a safe space for Leonardo and arguments are heated due to being emotional and defensive. Tobey's Mars overlaid in Leonardo's 7th house. Tobey speeds up the relationship, which we did see that Tobey immediately likes Tobey, so I wonder if it was, this guy seems cool, let me befriend him sort of thing. Tobey is calmer around Leo and Tobey wants to please Leonardo. They both enjoy spending time together. Tobey's Mars opposite Leonardo's Uranus. They have frequent arguments, which we've been seeing, and Tobey needs to learn to not take Leonardo's actions personally. I feel like that's a nice way to finish off the reading because genuinely, like, it doesn't seem like Leonardo has anything against Tobey. He just seems to be wanting to do his own thing, have his freedom and own career. And, I think with Tobey's attachment, I can definitely see him interpreting it as taking it a bit personal, with his clinginess and all of that. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'll be very curious to see what you guys have to say about this one. And if you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings twice weekly. And besides that, give this reading a like and I will see you guys next time. Bye! And a shout out to my astrology enthusiasts, Monkey Girl and Sky Games Vlog Hawker. Thank you for supporting the channel.
If you would also like a shout out and get early access to new videos, click the join button below to join the memberships. There are 2 tiers, the observers and enthusiasts. So thank you again, Monkey Girl and Sky Games Vlog Hawker, for supporting the channel.